Good morning, good morning, good morning. What a happy new day. It's day 53 of the 12 steps being applied to COVID-19 using the 12-step model of Alcoholics Anonymous. The Free to Hope Morning Recovery Conversation with Edwina.B., that's me, y'all, is sharing my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom of being a part of a fellowship of AA for over 30 plus years. And AA has been in existence for over 80 plus years. And for that, we have learned that every day is a holiday. Every day is a new day. And every day can be and will be a happy day if we learn to apply and practice these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature in all our affairs, including COVID-19. So, as a survivor of COVID-19, along with 7 other family members, I feel honored, but I am obligated. I am responsible. It is my duty to share with you my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom, my lack of wisdom, my decisions, my choices, both bad and good, regarding how I contributed to contracting COVID-19 and affecting other members of my family. So it is a happy new day because I and all my family members yet live, we yet breathe, and we thank God. And I want to ask you, what power greater than you woke you up this morning? What power greater than you breathed life into your body this morning? What power greater than you presents you and I together to have this simple conversation regarding the application of a simple 12-step program and the application of 3 simple, maybe 4 simple suggestions regarding COVID-19 and how to prevent from contracting it. And so the other question I need to ask you before we start, are you in the prevention mode of COVID-19? Are you in the intervention mode of COVID-19? Or are you in the restoration mode like COVID-19? Are you being proactive regarding COVID-19? Are you being reactive to COVID-19? Or are you being inactive regarding COVID-19? Well, this is what these morning conversations is all about. Introducing to you the 12 spiritual principles that can help change your mindset, your attitudes, ideas, and behaviors. Go through a spiritual transformation by doing and working the steps to achieve that psychic change that is required to adapt a new attitude, a new ideas and new behaviors and new actions regarding combating COVID-19. There are some of us who have not met the same outcome as me and my family members. And I would ask you to join me in a 30-second moment of silence to pay homage to those who have transitioned due to COVID-19, those who have lost loved ones to COVID-19, those who are suffering right this moment with COVID-19, those who are in the midst of contracting COVID-19, those of us who want to prevent from contracting COVID-19, those of us who are helping people address this COVID-19 pandemic. We're talking about the front line of the medical field and the EMS and all of those others who are risking their lives trying to save others, and yet some of them have fallen and succumbed to the outcome and fatalities of COVID-19. So let's pay homage to the entire human race as we simultaneously around the globe go through this COVID-19. But there are solutions. There is a remedy, and it is called the 12 steps. And I will share with you why Dr. James T. Allison and Jason Waller are helping me present to you how you can obtain the wisdom from a 12-step program to apply to COVID-19 in order to save one life, one family, one culture, one community, one city, one state, one country. And if we all do it simultaneously, we can stop the perpetuation of the devastating impact, outcome, and fatalities of COVID-19. So join me in a 30-second moment of silence for the entire human race. Join me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And on those who cannot say thank you, let me say thank you on their behalf. This is what we do in our 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, Workaholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and all the area of focus that use the same 12 spiritual principles and combating whatever area of focus that has brought unmanageability to some people's lives. And for the past 30 years, I have diligently applied these principles in all my affairs and practiced them on a daily basis, one day at a time. I know we are in a new year and a new month, but this is a new day, and we need to embrace the present moment, the present minute, the present hour, the present day. Because what you choose, what you decide today will determine your future. And so if I and millions of others who are in a recovery program can help you achieve the same freedom from recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally, then you too can become a part of the solution. I mentioned to you Dr. James T. Allison, and he wrote an article in Psychology Today back in March of 2020. And as a result of that article, the caption read, How We Can Benefit from the Wisdom of 12-Step Programs. He used the Al Anon approach to combating COVID-19, applying the wisdom of 12-step programs. And he eloquently outlined 7 points that can help you, can help the human race apply these simple principles as we together combat COVID-19. So please go to Psychology Today, Dr. James T. Allison, March 2020 edition, to read that article in its entirety. I also mentioned Jason Waller. Jason Waller is a recovering alcoholic. He has an awesome website, and he too shares his experience, his strength, and his hope as he and his family, right, deal with the disease of alcoholism one day at a time. But he also outlined a simplistic guide for understanding and applying and practicing these 12 spiritual principles. He poses some questions that he gathered from other experience, hope, and wisdom, right? So that we can be challenged, huh? We can challenge our existing mindset in order to achieve that spiritual maturity that will generate a psychic change, and substituting alcohol even though people are drinking more and becoming alcoholics, but substituting the area of focus from the disease of alcoholism to combating COVID-19. So although we use his template, I will change the focus from alcohol to COVID-19 so that we can get a better understanding of how these 12 spiritual principles can be used to decrease the perpetuation of COVID-19 and its devastating outcomes. Okay, so now, as you can see, I mentioned that me and 7 members of my family survived COVID-19, but I also mentioned that I contributed to contracting COVID-19 and I contributed to infecting members of my family. But I thank God that He chose to breathe life into me and to my family members while we yet breathe, while we yet can smell, while we yet can taste, while we yet can feel and see and hear. But through this conversation, we want to practice listening. Listening for us in a 12-step program is followed by action. We listen to learn and we learn to listen because we know hearing can go in one ear and out the other. But we want you to concentrate on the message and not the messenger. However, you see that I am in my own studio. Nobody is here, right? But I am still wearing my mask just to be an attraction, just to be an example that no matter where we are, who we are with, we need to practice wearing a mask because of the symptomatic people, and it was 6 of us, no, 5 of us in our family who were asymptomatic. They didn't even have any symptoms. But me, my 2-year-old grandson, and I believe my 48-year-old niece/sister, we all had symptoms. So wearing this mask around family, around friends, around coworkers, right? Wear that mask. Make it a part of your routine. Instead of putting on the other mask that we've been wearing all our lives, try practicing putting on the mask that is designed to save your life and the lives of others. And we will share with you how our self-centeredness, our ego, our pride, our defiance, our rebellious nature, our attitude of being invincible, will contribute to contracting COVID-19. But when we learn, dissect, analyze, process, right, assess these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature, not religious, not medical, but spiritual in nature, right? Because man, we know, is limited. But there is a creator, a higher power, a God who knows all, the beginning, the middle, the end of this COVID-19 pandemic. It's not the first pandemic we as human beings have gone through, and it won't be the last. But if we can introduce the success of the 12 steps in your life, it has helped so many of people in my life and in the world, millions, to stay sober and help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. Whatever the area of focus, the 12 spiritual principles have, are, can, will work. We do recover, but it requires the how of the program. H is for honesty, O is for open-mindedness, and W is for willingness. Those are the 3 indispensable principles of a 12-step program. We have to be honest with ourselves. We have to be open-minded to receive new information, and we have to be willing to apply the new information in order for us to be set free from recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. That means when you, like me, have survived COVID-19, it is our obligation to share our experience, our strength, our hope, our wisdom, our decisions, our choices, both good and bad, to help save one life, to help save one loved one family, one culture, and so on. And if we do this simultaneously around the world, we can change the outcome of this knee-bowing experience that every human being is experiencing right now. Applying these 12 spiritual recovery principles will help us to call out to the Creator who breathed life into you this morning, who woke you up this morning, to say, help me do thy will. Help me to save my life. Help me to save other life. What must I do? And the 12 steps will show us how we can align our will with the will of our Creator in order to stop the perpetuation of this COVID-19 impact and its devastating impact. So I just got a signal that my printer is getting ready to blank out, and I am not going to have that happen. So I'm going to pause and I'm going to plug it in. See, this is what I mean about being present, right? Being present, right? If I had not seen the screen darken and I continued to talk without hitting the pause button, we would have been cut off. And that's what I mean by being in the present moment, the present hour, in this present day, because of utilizing the 12 spiritual principles in my life and all my affairs. Because I did not apply these 12 spiritual principles to COVID-19 before contracting it and surviving it. No, I did not. Here I had the information already, knowing that the 12-step works in all my affairs, but for whatever reason, I, like you, was defiant, was rebellious at times, was in denial at times, took COVID-19 for granted at times, and did not follow these simple suggestions that were and are designed to save my life. So taking off all those masks, right, and putting on the mask that will save my life and the lives of my loved ones, washing my hands now more often than I did before I contracted COVID-19. I am not, like I did before, going out into the public unnecessarily. No, I am not, like I did before, go to family gatherings and go to places for amusement. No, oh, no. I've been restored to sanity. I've been restored to soundness of mind by applying these 12 spiritual principles that helps me to apply the simple suggestions from the researchers, the CDC, the data, your own experience, my experience, and the experience of others. All right. And so that's why we are presenting this information to you, just to save a life. And that life could be yours. There, by the grace of God, there go I. So yes, I am leading by example. In our 12-step program, it says that we don't promote, we lead by attraction. So if I am wearing my mask, my grandchildren will wear their mask. Hopefully my family will wear their mask. But if they see me wearing my mask and I instruct them to put on their mask, right, we can prevent from contracting COVID-19 again. And so the 12 steps uses the serenity prayer, like Dr. James T. Allison mentioned in his article, to help us change our perspective on things, right? And using that serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, COVID-19. Courage to change the things that I can, practice wearing a mask, washing your hands, social distancing, and the wisdom to know the difference. The difference is, do I want to live or do I want to die? All I have to do is accept what I'm powerless over, COVID-19, and admit my unmanageability as a result of COVID-19, coming to believe that a power, capital P, or powers greater than you and I ourselves can restore us a soundness of mind and make that decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, higher power, creator, as we understood him, in order to save our lives and to save the lives of others. You and I can be a part of the solution and no longer a part of the problem, right? So you know that review is crucial in the 12-step program, and it's no different in here, right? So let me turn that light off. All right. And hopefully, let me see, because I want to make sure that these glasses don't fall, right? And listen, I don't mind putting on my protective gear, right? In order to help save my life and your life too. All right. So we know that recovery principle number 1 says we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives have become unmanageable. So you know that I am changing the area of focus from alcohol, gambling, workaholics, and all that kind of stuff, and substituting COVID-19, because that's what we are dealing with universally around this globe, okay? So we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. And with Jason Waller and the questions that he posed, we will be challenged to think about, assess, decipher our attitudes, ideas, and behaviors of our existing mindset to see the importance and the necessity of embracing these steps, particularly step 1 in its totality, because step 1 is the only one we have to do 100%. Okay? So, step number 2 came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, soundness of mind. Doesn't say you're crazy, doesn't say I'm crazy, but we make insane decisions, are making insane decisions, I made insane decisions, and contracting COVID-19, but it was my creator who brought me out of it. Therefore, I was restored to soundness of mind by believing in a power greater than me that took the form of the CDC, my experience of others, the data, the statistics that are reported, but you need to know that you need to multiply those statistics 2 and 3 times the more, because a lot more people are dying and affected by COVID-19 than being reported, all right? And so as a result of came to believe that a power or powers greater than me could restore me to sanity, soundness of mind, which is why I am wearing my mask, which is why I am encouraging you on my little banner down here, right? To wash your hands, social distancing, right? Wearing that mask, wear that mask. I don't care how you look, right? It doesn't matter, because in the 12-step program, we ask you, do you want to save your behind or do you want to save your face? And if you're like me, I want to save my behind. And I'm also interested in starting a COVID-19 anonymous group. The 12 steps of AA is around the world. We are in 129 countries. Could you imagine if we had a COVID-19 anonymous groups around the world, simultaneously teaching these 12 spiritual principles, practicing these 12 spiritual principles and a holistic approach, and simultaneously, wow, we can impact the devastating outcomes, effect, and fatalities of COVID-19. So if you want to be a part of the solution, you want to help start a COVID-19 anonymous group, support group, please contact me or just go ahead and start it, all right? If you have survived COVID-19, if you are the ones who have lost loved ones to COVID-19 and you have been restored to sanity and soundness of mind, of what you could have done to save your loved one's life, then you too need to share your story. If you are the ones who are have not contracted COVID-19, you need to share your story. Everybody needs to share their story collectively, but on an individual basis so that we can all learn from each other what to do, what not to do. But guess what? They also say in our 12-step program, there are some who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. I don't want to believe that for you. I definitely didn't want to believe that for me when they are only suggesting some simple steps, some simple guidelines for us to practice these principles in all our affairs. So when we came to believe that a power greater than us can restore us to sanity, step 2, then we are on our way to step 3, where we made that decision on a daily basis. We make decisions all day long. All day long. Will I? Won't I? Am I getting up? Am I not getting up? Do I go to the bathroom or do I pee on myself? Do I do it? Yeah. We make decisions all day long. But look at what the step is saying. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to a God as we understood him, a higher power, right? The creator. If I was restored to sanity by that power greater than me, then I need to make that decision to that same power greater than me to keep me doing the next right thing, not my own thing, not the next thing, but the next right thing. And making that decision helps me to align my will with my creator's will and not taking off this mask, not disregarding the simple suggestions, not taking for granted this COVID-19, not practicing these principles in all our affairs, right? And so that's why the first 3 steps, particularly 1, says it has to be done 100%. Yes, we are powerless over COVID-19. And it is and has and will continue to make our lives unmanageable. Because we don't know when it's going to end. We don't know what it's going to take because man is limited. But the creator of us all knows the beginning, the middle, and the end. But during that interim, there are some simple things we can do that are spiritual in nature to combat this physical ailment, this physical pandemic that we all are going through. And that's why step 1 has to be done 100%. And using that serenity prayer will definitely help you to obtain the necessary wisdom to know what we individually and collectively need to accept, asking for courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So you better believe, regarding recovery principle number 2, came to believe that a power restored me back to sanity, and I'm going to make that decision in step 3 to turn my will and my life over to the care of that God, as I understand him. And you have to practice doing the same thing. Okay? Now, steps 1, 2, and 3 basically says, I can't. There's a power greater than me that can. And step 3, I'll make a decision to let him. Right? Now, we in a 12-step program know that when we answer those questions posed by Jason Waller, JASON WAHLER, a recovering alcoholic, he and his family developed an awesome website, and he poses these questions to help us evaluate our attitudes, ideas, and behaviors regarding alcohol, but we're going to use the same questions regarding COVID-19. And so those questions are designed to help you and I get in touch with the powerlessness, the unmanageability, what we need to do to turn our will and our lives over to a care of God as we understand him, right? And so we have to ask ourselves, well, why do I have the feeling of being invincible? Why do I appear to take COVID-19 for granted? Why is it that I have a defiant attitude of wearing a mask or washing my hands? Why am I rebellious about people telling me what to do? Why am I so carefree that it happens to those people, but it won't happen to me? Why is my attitude so nonchalant? And by posing the questions and these steps that are documented and described from Jason Waller's template, we get to find out in step 4 where those attitudes, ideas, behaviors were formulated, when, how long ago, by whom, in what situations, in what circumstances, right? And the question is, no, the question shouldn't be, what's wrong with you? As people in addiction so often heard from our family members, our loved ones, our job. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Right? But according to Dr. Alvin Turner of Wilmington, Delaware, doing an interview with him on my TV talk show, he said, Edwina, we are asking the wrong question. The question should not be, what's wrong with you? The question should be, what happened to you? What happened to you? What happened to you that gave you that idea? What happened to you that developed that attitude? What happened to you for you to display that behavior? What happened to you to make those choices, those decisions? What happened to you? Do you hear what I'm saying, or are you listening to what I'm saying? Have you ever thought why you are like you are? Have you ever thought where those behaviors came from? Have you ever thought why you think and act a certain way? Have you? Has anybody ever asked you the question? I'm sure they have, in one way, shape, form, or fashion. And what is our response? Oh, that's just the way I am. It is what it is, right? But if you got alone and you begin to think, well, why did I make that decision knowing it was wrong? Why did I perform that act on that person knowing that I didn't want that action performed on me? Why is it that I have a better than attitude? Why is it that I'm so judgmental and critical of other people? But when they judge and criticize me, I get defensive. See, this is what we are challenged with in a 12-step program on any of those areas that I mentioned. Alcoholics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous. What is it in our makeup? What has happened from as far back as we can remember to make us behave and think and have these views and ideas and attitudes now? And I'm 65 years old. I joined Alcoholics Anonymous when I was 34. And so, and going back to my childhood as far back as I can remember to find out what happened to me, not what's wrong with me. I'm telling you, people in the 12-step program, regardless of the area of focus, oftentimes ask ourselves, what's wrong with me? What's wrong? Why can't I get it? Why? And we know that the 12 steps came from the scriptures. And one of them says basically, why is it that I want to do good, but I can't? And that's where we got into the first step of being powerless. I want to, but why can't I? And it's through the recovery principle, specifically recovery principle number 4, that has the answer or have the pathway to learn why, to evaluate what happened, to analyze where did it come from, to determine who, what, when, and where, and in what shape, form, and fashion did it begin to formulate in my mind, in my attitude, and my behaviors, and my actions, and my choices, and my decisions. Where did it all start? And how did it perpetuate even up until this very moment? Not what's wrong with you, not what's wrong with me, but what happened to you? What happened to me? Why aren't everybody taking this COVID-19 seriously? Why aren't everybody wearing a mask? Why aren't everybody washing their hands? Why aren't everybody staying indoors? Why? What is it about our attitudes, ideas, and behaviors that prevent us from doing what we know to be right? But we choose to do it our way. And our way is taking lives out of here like no other episode during our lifetime has seen. And they say it's going to get worse before it gets better. So, recovery principle number 4 states that made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And I'm going to present to you some information that Jason Weiler outlines in his 4th step, just to plant a seed, because we are going to be on recovery principle number 4 for a while. Ain't no quickies here. No. Because this is the foundation of learning who we are, how we became the way we are, and bring about awareness about what needs to be changed about who we are so that we can become better people, more spiritual in nature, right? In order to combat this COVID-19 and particularly you, me, your loved ones, your culture, your community, your city, your state, your country. Could you even imagine what it would be like if everybody simultaneously use the CDC suggestions, whether they are doing it or not, because we know that there are hypocrites among them, right? Which is why I don't want to be a hypocrite. I want to show you that I can wear the mask. I know the importance of wearing this mask because I contributed to me contracting COVID-19 as well as infecting my family members and have lost people that I know close to me to COVID-19. It's no longer out there. It's here, right in front of our eyes. So recovery principle number 4 sets the foundation as to how we became the way we are in our attitudes, ideas, and behaviors and actions, how we were conditioned, prone to make these decisions and choices, why we choose wrong over right, knowing better, why we choose defiance over compliance, even if it saves our lives and we still can be defiant. What is it about me? What is it about you that makes you so stubborn, so prideful, me so egotistical, right? Defiant, rebellious. What is it about us? Well, guess what? The 4th step will help us to have and obtain those answers. Okay? So let me share with you the foundation of recovery principle number 4 before we get into it. And I mean into it. See, I believe, just like for those of us in Alcoholics Anonymous and other 12-step programs, right? We have to get a preview, an overview, a description, a synopsis, a summary, so that we know what to be prepared for, right? And Jason Waller's template does that, all right? So based on the information he collected from other resources, coupled with his own experience, strength, and hope, I'm going to read to you what he has outlined regarding Alcoholics Anonymous. But I'm going to substitute and change the area of focus to COVID-19, right? However, when we think about recovery principle number 4, we are talking about the wholeness of us. We are talking about the holistic approach of us. We are identifying the attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, actions, decisions, choices, regardless of the area of focus, right? Because we can use those attitudes, ideas, behaviors, choices, decisions, attitudes, and apply it to any area of focus. So it sets the foundation as to how we became the way we are, how we developed, where those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors was first formulated, all right? And so I'm going to plant the seed before we actually get into the questions posed by Jason Waller. And let me tell you, that's going to be a couple days from now, because this foundation, this preview is preparation in order for us to answer those questions. So let me start and go as far as I can with Jason Waller's description, outline, and breaking down recovery principle number 4, made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves, right? So it says, step 4 of AA's 12-step program of recovery is infamously the scary one. Probably because it's a crucial step towards effective and lasting recovery. I'm going to read it, everything first, and then we'll go back and dissect it a little bit, right? Since the overall philosophy of Alcoholics Anonymous is that alcoholism is just a symptom of a spiritual disease, the real problem is in character flaws that need to be faced and, when possible, overcome. This requires a searching, bear it all, revelation inducing inventory that will become the blueprint for our success. So much to gain is the next section. The benefits of completing step 4 are strengthened sobriety, spiritual growth, and movement towards mending our relationships to our higher power, yourself, and other human beings. What's the biggest requirement for this action step? Be honest. You and the people around you will benefit from this crucial step. In case you didn't know, keeping secrets is threatening to our recovery, and we have all had secrets that nearly killed us. Our secrets in and out of sobriety keep us sick. Almost everyone comes into recovery having trouble separating fact from fiction in our own lives. The reality is that the drunkalogs and war stories that accumulated over the years of using are so embroidered into the fabric of whom we think we are. However, while working on our step inventories, we get a new perspective on the bigger picture, on patterns, selfishness, our responsibility in situations, and in this process, we are building up an accurate self-appraisal with true self-worth as the reward. Okay? Now, if I go on, and I will, because I want to encourage you to join me every day that the Creator breathes life into us, right? And allows us to be awakened, right, on this new day. So Jason Waller has a section that says breaking down step 4 of Alcoholics Anonymous. But we are going to replace, once we get into it, alcoholics with COVID-19 pandemic, okay? So let's see how the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous is broken down so that we can apply it to COVID-19. It says, at this point, it has probably become pretty clear to you that recovery is a process of steady personal growth and enlightenment that feels so good, you probably wish everyone you knew were doing it. Although you may be pink clouding it and enjoying the clarity that comes from sobriety, the truth is that our past addiction crippled our ability to reflect honestly about our lives. Okay? Addiction created delusional thinking that limited our ability to understand the damage and havoc, the liabilities it caused in all our relationships. So before we could safely move toward So before we could safely move forward, we needed a framework through which we could sort out our past honestly. The 4-step inventory provides that framework. Okay? You see why it's important to set the foundation of what we're going to be doing on this 4th step? So let me continue. The inventory you will do in step 4 of AA will help you to identify negative thoughts, emotions, and actions that have ruled your life. In the past, you probably justified bad behavior and blamed other people, places, or things for the problems you had created. Now you will begin to take responsibility for all your past and current actions. This may mean even acknowledging painful, embarrassing, or difficult events, thoughts, emotions, or actions. But that's cool. It's all good because your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are actually the roots of your addictive behaviors. While writing out your inventory, you will get to examine all your tendencies toward fear, pride, resentments, anger, self-will, self-pity, guilt, shame, relationships, sex, abuse, secrets, and assets, believe it or not. He goes on to say how to do an inventory, searching and fearless. So let's see what Jason Wallers says about that. So how do you actually do a personal inventory? Most of the people you will be relying on to guide you through step 4 probably believe there is no exact right or wrong way to practice this step. I think that what is important is that we follow the general principle of self-honesty and that we are willing to be searching and fearless in the pursuit of truth. By the way, when we say fearless, we do not mean you will have no feelings of fear. Fearless means you will not let your fears stop you from being thorough in your inventory process. With step 4, it means you commit to rigorous honesty as you focus on events in your life, including your own weaknesses, and specifically not on anyone else's weaknesses. Okay? Old timers will take the approach of reviewing the 7 deadly sins as laid out in the 12 steps and 12 traditions, while others will benefit from a review of sampling the more significant events from their lives as well. Using the process outlined in the Big Book is an essential guideline to reviewing the biggies: resentments, fears, and sexual conduct. Okay? And so he starts out with resentments. Okay? And we are going to stop there before we get into those categories. And I want to go back for the time we have left to dissect the foundation that's laid in order for us to do step 4. Okay? Made a searching and fearless more inventory of ourselves. Okay. You know how with me, when I first heard the word inventory, I used to work in a store and they had stock and everything. And so my first association with inventory was in a store. Okay. And in that store, we had to look for the items that were outdated. We had to move the most current to the back so that the old can be sold before the most current. We had to examine the product to make sure it wasn't torn or open or broke. We had to do an inventory of how many we had. Did we have too many? Did we have too little? We had to do an inventory of comparing the products as to their selling ability, right? And so when I, and hopefully you, think of an inventory, taking stock. So when we apply this principle in a 12-step program, we are taking an inventory of ourselves, a moral inventory of ourselves, a inventory of our character defects and our character assets. We are taking an inventory of what and how we gain those attitudes, ideas, behaviors, how we were challenged to make these decisions, these choices, what contributed, what inventory, what stock helped to do that. And so when we look at taking a moral inventory of ourselves, good and bad, liabilities and assets, the holistic approach, and our attitudes, ideas, and behaviors, and where and how and whom and place they were first formulated, and how they were perpetuated over the years to make us who we are and have developed into today. So don't you want to know how you became the way you became? Don't you want to know how and where those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were first formulated? Don't you want to know what made you tick? Don't you want to know your patterns? Don't you want to know your triggers and why they trigger you? Don't you want to know about you? Don't you want to know why you and I and other people have this defiant attitude about COVID-19, about wearing a mask? Don't you want to know why you are so judgmental and critical of others but defensive when it comes to you? Honesty. That's why people like myself with 30 plus years in recovery stay sober one day at a time and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety, because of honesty. To thy own self be true. We say that the sooner we are honest with ourselves, the sooner we get better. The longer we lie to ourselves, the longer it's going to take for us to get better if we live. So taking that moral inventory, being searching and fearless. It's said in here about the fear thing, right? It doesn't mean being afraid. It's being willing to face what have made you the way you are. We say fear, for an acronym, says forget everything and run. That's the old way. But because of these 12 spiritual principles, we look at fear now to face everything in recovery. So we are going to continue, if it's God's will, day 54 on recovery principle number 4. And if he breathed life into you and to me tomorrow morning, then we will be reunited. In the meantime, let me ask you the same question I did in the beginning. Are you in the prevention mode of COVID-19? Are you in the intervention mode of COVID-19? Or are you like me in the restoration mode of COVID-19? Are you like me now being proactive regarding COVID-19? Being reactive to COVID-19? Or are you yet being inactive regarding COVID-19? Only you can be honest to yourself about where you are. But guess what? Even though you may say, it is your actions that we listen to. So be safe, and be safe. Help to save one life. It could be yours. It could be your loved ones. It could be mine. Hopefully, we will be rejoined for day 54. In the meantime, enjoy this happy new day.